All right, first time off leash outside of a fence at a park. And so the same thing as yesterday, you're always measuring engagement. Does she even want to be by you? And when she's off sniffing, my job is to take off. We try to bring in the high value food on an empty belly. So we came out here this morning before breakfast with the can of wet food. But it's the same strategy. If she goes one way, I go the other. You want her saying, hey, there goes the gravy train. When she gets back to me, food. And we just rinse and repeat. You always try to get away from her and get her saying, get back here. Because when we first got here, she was just sniffing everywhere. She didn't want my treats. And I happened to have this can of wet food. And I was like, all right, well, let's use this first to get our foot in the door. So you're always trying to think, how could I get her to want to be by me with as little influence as possible, with as little of me being desperate and begging as possible? So if I'm like trying to get her to take my treat, we're kind of going about it wrong. What I do is just try to like almost sneak away from her. We want her saying, hey, get back here. But engagement's the name of the game. It's how do we get her to want to be by us? How could I engineer her to want to be by us? And it would be like, well, we got an empty belly, a can of wet food, and the strategy of hard to get, of saying, yeah, I don't care. Go sniff that tree. What's it to me? What do I care? When she gets back to me, I make myself valuable, and we'd want her making the choice of, well, he's way more valuable than the new smells on that tree. We have the e-collar just in case something were to like go sideways and she were to run off or something. We could stop her and all that, but we're not getting like recall opportunities here. What we're getting is apathy of she's more interested in the smells than she is me. And it's not bad. I mean, she's taking the wet food, but before the wet food came out, it was, she didn't really want to be by me. I got to smell all these new smells. Where are we? So I say, okay, fine. I don't care. Smell the new smells. And I grabbed the can of wet food and said, I'll just be over here with my spoon of gravy. And I want her saying, well, what do you got over there? I better keep a closer eye on you. But you're always measuring everything on engagement. Does she even want to be by me? And once you can get her start orbiting you, we're not going to need this wet food for too much longer. It's our foot in the door. You're always thinking, how do I get a foot in the door and then capitalize on it? With the idea being all roads lead back to me. I'm the centerpiece. That's when you go from the wet food to the treats to the kibble. Then you start doing the same thing in new areas where all roads just lead back to me. And I just want to be by you. Because we want it to be, we can let her off leash anywhere and say, where do you want to go? And her saying, well, by you, of course. So you'd start off in a big park like this and say, well, you got 100 acres to go wherever you want. And her say, well, I'm not going to let you get too far away. You are the most valuable thing. Eventually, we're going to start getting more speed out of her. We could even try for a recall opportunity. Phoebe! So that was a vibrate, a complete ignore, and then a shock at 14. So if I'm ever using the shock, I'm trying to disassociate myself from it. Ideally, as we start putting all this together, it's going to, big picture would be, if she's outside of a 30-foot bubble from me, I'm going to vibrate, bring her back. Since we don't have the recall completely, conditioned yet, the way to help speed that process up is indirect pressure. So if there's ever a shock, it's not coming from me, from her mind. I'm 30 feet away walking the opposite way. Couldn't have came from me. It should be I'm the solution to the shock. Oh, I better get back to him. He's got all the gravy. And I'm outside the safety zone and I better get back. So the idea would be there's sharks in the water. I'm the lifeboat. The sharks would be the shock. Get back to the lifeboat as fast as we can. is what we want her thinking, until it just starts being, oh, I better stay a little bit closer to you because it can be dangerous out there. So the shock should never be coming from me, but it's a good way to start adding a little bit of speed and a little bit of faster response to the recall. Would be the vibrations also a precursor for a negative of saying, oh, yeah, I better get back to you. So this is our first time. We're going to keep doing this. There's a lot of polish. This is the big one. If we can get her just walking by us at the park, that's going to be the thing that gets her walking by us everywhere. Getting her to choose to be by me is the big piece to all this. So this is going to be something we start molding and shaping for the next couple weeks. And we'll be going to Home Depot and stuff like that sooner than later. But this park plays a big role in the strategy. And yeah, she's doing great for the first time. And we're less than a week in, so if we can get her off leash at a park a week into it, we're a little ahead of schedule. We just need the food to start coming back to me and have that be how we get her on track. But everything's going good. She's doing good on her first time.